Yeah, so as a follow-up to that post on how it's hard living with difficult parents or parents that were perhaps a factor in your developing this psychological or trauma state, it might have been related to being sick. I'm just going to talk about some methods for uh, maintaining your psychic independence and your own emotional space when you're living with these people. And please post in the comments if you come up with your own ideas. Um, I wasn't a very rebellious teenager, but I find myself using a lot of techniques now for the first time that I hear of teenagers using, such as listening to bands that my mom doesn't like and listening to kind of rebellious music. And it makes me realize that maybe rebelliousness in teenagers isn't always about just wanting to rebel. It's about you need to have that emotional distance from your parents. And so one way to do it is by doing stuff that they don't approve of. And by the way, I'm having a little bit more Bell's palsy lately. I don't know if people can tell that my mouth is doing this thing again. It's been, I stopped doing a certain treatment that was helping with that, and because I was a little bit concerned about it, but about the safety actually. So, but I think I might bring it back because now that I realized that it was actually doing something for me, maybe it's worth doing it. So, other things are just, actual physical distance. So being outside, being somewhere else, if you can go somewhere else. A lot of us can't drive, but walking, bikes, whatever. Drive if you can. And another big one is, talking to friends when your parents are around, or like emotional expression. Oftentimes, if you're just able to keep expressing yourself while your parents are around or while you're living with your parents, then you can kind of remain yourself, even if they might be trying to draw you into dynamics or draw you into the way that they see you. That's often the really difficult thing, is the way your parents see you. And because it's like, I don't want to be this person my mom sees me as. My mom will actually describe me as like someone who's away from the church, and she'll actually like offer masses for me. And she'll say, oh yes, my daughter has been away from the church for this many years. I don't even keep track of how many years it's been. It's not even something I think about, But like in my mom's eyes, this is just, and it's funny because, like our parents will like see certain things about us and then totally neglect other things about us. Like my mom, she'll really notice stuff like, what her priorities for me, and then she won't. And also my dad, our parents will have certain priorities, what they care about, and they don't see the whole person. So any kind of expression, writing, music, art, drawing, I don't know if anybody else resonates with this idea, but just, do you all feel like you turn into a different person because of interacting with your parents, or that you have sort of this one identity who you can be with other people or when you're on your own, and then something else that you are with your parents? And I was just, after watching that previous video, I'm just like, I never want to go into that space again because it's not good for anybody. What I go into when I'm with my mom is not good for me because I hate myself when I'm like that. I just don't have any respect for myself like that. I don't even feel like an independent person. I just feel like a reaction to her. So, and then I also, and it's not good for my mom. I mean, it does like keep the peace and everything, but it's not good for her because I'm, mad at her when I feel like that. And then also, it's not good for any of my other friendships because I find it really difficult to interact with other people when I'm in that zone of feeling like I'm reacting with my mom. It's a funny thing where it's like, it just takes all my emotional energy just to like brace myself against my mom, or sort of keep that peace when she's around. Even if she's outside, I was talking to a friend yesterday, my mom was outside doing something else, but just the fact that she was home and she could come home and she could come back in at any moment, I felt like I couldn't even be myself, or I couldn't even, because I was just that was just occupying like 50% of my brain. It's like, okay, my mom is home, I've got to be alert to the psychological dynamics. And it's this weird thing where it's like, I feel like there's like some rule that I can't be an independent person when she's around. It's probably like enmeshment or codependency or something. When there's somebody around who's like super codependent, you feel weird and you get drawn into acting in these ways that you don't want to act, because it's like you'll try to interact in a normal way with people, but if other people are doing a major dynamic, it's impossible to interact normally. And who you are isn't just, you're not just yourself on an island. Who you are around other people, it depends on your interactions. And sometimes certain people will only really support certain kinds of interactions. You know, the same way like an operating system will only support certain kinds of programs you can run on it. Like sometimes there's not a lot of options for how to interact with certain people, because anything you do, they'll subtly change it back. It's like you try one thing and they change it. Oh, it's like, oh, codependency again. You know, you try something else and it's like, oh, we're back to this again. And narcissists are the same way. You do something, it's like, oh, whoops, you know, we're talking about how you can be less of a narcissist, and oh my gosh, let's turn back into you being, you know, let's turn back into I'm better than you and whatever, you know. It's really, really funny. So yeah, so just try and figure out what is that thing that you turn into, and maybe see if there's some way not to turn into that. And because I feel like I've gone in and out of it during making this video and the last one, where right now I feel sort of out of wherever I feel out of that person that I am when I'm around my mom. Like I feel like I'm like, okay, I have my own desires, I have my own projects, I have my own stuff I work on, and I have my own standards for myself, and I'm fine on my own, and you know, and everything. And I don't want to turn into that thing where I'm just like, I don't even want to think about it right now, right? It's kind of tricky. So the other thing to do is to think about psychic independence or emotional independence. And I know most people tend to see independence from your parents in terms of financial independence, but I know people who are totally financially independent, have a lot more, maybe have even more income than their parents, and they are so emotionally dependent on their parents, where they're doing all this stuff for their parents' approval, or they couldn't step out of the line. My gosh, they've got to follow their parents' rules, and just the groveling way they are around their parents, or even if they disrespect their parents, it's still so. I don't want to like be down on people or anything, but it's just a lot of people that are very successful and very financially independent and financially successful. A lot of times, what those people seem to have a lot of dependence, where it's like they've got to do. They're really still living the lives their parents set them out on, you know, and. So I feel like, you know, maybe even if some of us with, you know, chronic illness are not financially independent, we can still be adults. I gotta unlock the door for my mom. Because we might have a lot of experiences that help us to have emotional independence. I'm fine. Just a second. I'm just finishing a video here. Like,
it's fine that you explained yourself. That's fine. Very good.
It was highly stressful for me, and I've just, while I'm practicing, the fewer of these things that happen, the better. Anyway, emotional independence, because we have to think about lying our own way, and we have to, you know, take our own answers, and not trust authority, and so it does get you into a position where you see I'm a little bit more inhibited now, right? Where.
Oh, you're taping. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
It's okay. Where you've got to, you can have a lot of emotional independence when, and that's another way to be an adult and not be just to claim whatever kind of independence we can have, right? And, you know, to have our own values and not necessarily follow the rules that our parents have set up. And I say it's very scary for people not to follow the rules that their parents have made for their lives. Like, a lot of people get terrified by it, and I wasn't even thinking about it much, but it's like there's certain rules about what work you're supposed to do, what sort of whether you're supposed to enjoy yourself, and just like very subtle things. And I found myself, frankly, like, before I started thinking about it, I was very controlled by all of this. And but here's what I would say about that is that if your parents have issues, and the rule in the family might be to keep having the same issues and to keep doing things the same way, and to keep having the same problems, the same patterns, and often that's just commonly the rule. The rule in the family is to have certain problems. But I would say that I'm having so much trouble keeping my train of thought now. But the best thing you can actually do is to break the bad rules in your family. Your parents might hate you for it, might cause a lot of stress, but really your parents want what's good for you, and they'll learn from you if you find out a better way to do it than what they did. So if say that in my family the rule is scarcity. The rule is everybody acts like we're super poor, we have no self-esteem, we don't take care of our appearance, and life is drudgery and we work and we get underpaid. We don't really get enough money for our talents, and we kind of are underemployed, and just accepting that whatever, just bad situations happen in life and we never get help. Okay, so maybe my way that I'm breaking those rules is I'm saying, gosh, I'd like money for an ozone machine, or I'd like these things to improve my life, and it's worth spending money to improve my life, and and also I'm getting help, I'm getting therapy, I'm getting all these different things, and and some people in the family are kind of picking up on this. They're like, oh, maybe we'll try that too, and so it really is helpful to. Oh, and then when it comes to jobs and stuff, I'm really planning to approach it in a different way than the rules of the family are, and so maybe just injecting some new ideas into the family. It's really the healthiest, best thing you can do for your family, to break the bad rules of your family, break the bad patterns, and it might feel like disobedience, but it's actually one of the most amazing things you can do in life is change those patterns. So, and once you set it out that way, it makes more sense, because you're like, I get it. So that's been the pattern, and I really have this assignment now to put effort into doing, not necessarily the opposite, but to making my own choice about it. So that's all